Hey, it's Lou, and some wild shit is going down in Pakistan. For generations, two families have dominated politics in the country, but an outsider, a massive celebrity actually, has just been elected prime minister. Can this former cricket superstar eliminate corruption and alleviate Pakistan's many economic woes? Or is he merely a puppet, a power-hungry sellout willing to do the bidding of a deep state that's long pulled the strings? Prior to this election, there have been 18 prime ministers in Pakistan's history. Literally, not a single one of them served a full term. That trend is not just a crazy coincidence, because in Pakistan, the civilian government is merely the junior partner. The real power resides with the military establishment. That's the army and the ISI, the country's shadowy intelligence agency. Georgetown professor C. Christine Fair, an expert on Pakistan, told me the judiciary has become increasingly complicit in this power structure too. A power structure, by the way, that exists outside of Pakistan's constitutional design. Not only have generals orchestrated outright coups to undermine elected leaders, but they've mastered things like media manipulation and the intimidation of dissidents. They've jailed opponents and interfered with free elections. Having centralized power, the military has had carte blanche to set foreign policy and the national security agenda. In addition, the army oversees a vast business empire. They produce everything from cement to cereal. This largesse comes with benefits. A career in the armed forces is associated with economic security. Soldiers and their families are treated well. Many officers even receive prime plots of real estate. Therefore, the military has a rather compelling incentive to maintain the status quo and to support easily pliable politicians who won't rock the boat. And this is the question surrounding Imran Khan, the new prime minister. Will he stand up to the all-powerful military? Well, his path to power offers us some clues. This guy was a national hero following Pakistan's stunning Cricket World Cup victory in 1992. He became a bit of an international playboy in his retirement, but supposedly Khan found God and set his sights on reforming his home country because he, like so many other Pakistanis, was sick and tired of the corruption, incompetence, and nepotism plaguing Pakistan's government. Keep in mind, two families, the Bhuttos and the Sharifs, essentially had competing dynasties over the junior partner position. But critics claim they prioritized self-dealing over anything else. Khan was particularly relentless when it came to calling out their corruption, and he also called out the army. In addition, Alyssa Ayres, a senior fellow for Pakistan at the Council on Foreign Relations, told me a successful cancer hospital Khan built and named after his mother stands in stark contrast to the ineffectual institutions run by the state. Professor Amna Rashid, a political scientist at the University of Management and Technology in Lahore, Pakistan, told me not to underestimate the appeal of Khan's raw charisma and charm. The dude has presence and commands respect. The last prime minister, on the other hand, and here comes one of my favorite anecdotes of all time, well, that guy was pretty meek. A few months ago, when he arrived in New York City, while he was prime minister, mind you, he waited in the customs line at JFK Airport. Security reportedly frisked him. This is the head of state of a nuclear power who had a planned meeting with the Vice President of the United States, and he waited in line to be frisked and questioned by airport security. Rashid told me this was a national embarrassment. Pakistanis value strength and pride, so Khan's star power fits that bill. This was a guy who was close friends with Princess Di, after all. Okay, so anti-corruption, he's competent, he's got a strong personality, and Khan promised to create a robust welfare state to help the many Pakistanis living in poverty. 58% of the country is food insecure. This pro-reform agenda certainly had its appeal, especially to the urban young, but it wasn't enough. The party Khan founded, the PTI, had some success, but he was never able to break through on the national stage until this election, when he got help from the military. Now, if you're surprised or disappointed that an anti-corruption reformer aligned with the entrenched powers that be, well, join the club. Khan has denied that he was the military's favorite candidate, but the evidence tells a different story. For instance, in a Washington Post editorial, the president of the All Pakistan Newspaper Society described quasi-military censorship that discouraged coverage of Khan's opponents. The army interfered with the distribution of newspapers. Television channels were taken off air. Certain journalists, TV anchors, and social activists were labeled enemies of national security in an attempt to discredit them. Several journalists were even kidnapped. To put it mildly, this all had the effect of discouraging dissenting voices.
The International Federation of Journalists says that Pakistan is one of the most dangerous countries for journalists.
Meanwhile, several of Khan's political rivals were jailed or disqualified from running for office, clearing the field for PTI candidates. Fair also told me that the military used the threat of force or the influence of the pocketbook to build Khan's political coalition. Khan's PTI wound up including so many paid or intimidated defectors from other parties that the PTI got the nickname Pakistan Turncoat Industry. Another not so desirable nickname, Taliban Khan. Khan once labeled the Taliban a terrorist organization, but now he's classified their insurgency in Afghanistan as a holy war. This falls in line with the military's complicated views on the issue. Finally, on election day, armed soldiers were out in full force. Many people saw this as an act of intimidation. Others claimed the army literally interfered with the count. To be fair, Rashid said she welcomed the military presence because she was worried terrorists might attack polling stations, and in fact, a suicide bomb did kill at least 31 people that day. That horrific tragedy aside, Khan and the PTI emerged victorious, although it did take a suspicious amount of time to release the official results. That delay, combined with all the interference I just mentioned, led opposition parties to protest the election. One activist called it Pakistan's dirtiest election, and many people fear that Khan is not in a position to challenge the military's grip on the country because he's indebted to them. Besides, even if he wanted to challenge the deep state, would he survive? One of his most recent predecessors offers a cautionary tale. Nawaz Sharif, a member of one of those family dynasties I talked about, was elected to his third never-to-be-completed term as prime minister in 2013. This stint was disrupted by a financial scandal connected to the Panama Papers. To be fair, Sharif may have been up to something shady, but the evidence was pretty vague. So many observers assert that the real reason he was singled out for selective punishment in a culture with a high tolerance for government malfeasance is because he wanted to wrestle control of foreign policy from the military. He also tried to prosecute a general. You do not do those things in Pakistan and get away with it. However, Rashid told me if the military establishment was looking for a rollover, Khan was a bad choice. He's assertive. He's used to getting his way. Many people don't see his strong personality meshing with the role of junior partner. Rashid also said Khan is clean. Some of his rivals were jailed because they were corrupt. Maybe the timing of their arrests were suspiciously convenient for Khan, but he stayed out of trouble because he's done what's right. Other people are less sure about Khan's character. He has fathered at least one child out of wedlock. Some, including his ex-wife, claim he has several others. This may sound like gossipy bullshit, but the important point is, maybe he has some skeletons in his closet that can be exploited if he gets out of line. For now, Khan's saying all the right things. He's talked about privatizing state-owned businesses to help with debt and to attract foreign finance. He's made overtures, in Mandarin no less, to the Chinese government, a key financial ally for Pakistan. And, importantly, he claims he'll end the corruption that's bred so much inefficiency, inequality, and resentment within his country. After the election, Khan said, quote, "Accountability will start with me, then my ministers, and then we'll go from there. We will set an example of how the law is the same for everyone." Hopefully. Over 200 million Pakistanis are counting on Khan. And frankly, the world needs a stable Pakistan. The country is a nuclear power in a region infested with terrorists. If it falls into disarray, who knows who can get their hands on the world's most deadly weapon? In fact, this rationale has scared the United States into sending billions to Pakistan's military. President Trump has recently decreased the aid, but historically, the U.S. has provided many of the resources the Pakistan military uses to maintain its outsized influence within the country. This dynamic has not served Pakistanis well. I might also argue it hasn't served the US well. The aid dollars are earmarked for the fight against terror. Professor Fair points out that this is a perverse incentive. Think about it. America gives Pakistan money to fight terrorists. Therefore, if Pakistan actually eliminates all terrorism in the region, it would also eliminate the reason it gets so much money. Plus, there's a concern that Pakistan doesn't have a very effective defense apparatus in the first place. They've gotten into several wars with India, and none of them have ended well for Pakistan. Although, Fair explained to me, the military influences the nationwide curriculum, so a lot of their failures are absent from the history books. Look, it's all very complicated and layered, and there's 1,000 other dynamics I haven't gotten into, but what happens in Pakistan reverberates across the globe. So now the world wants to see if Khan can improve things. An anecdote from his cricket career might give you pause about his true intentions. After his playing days were over, Khan admitted to cheating. He tampered with the ball. He said it was just a few times, and besides, cheating was so pervasive in the sport, it wasn't that big of a deal.
I mean, what is illegal? It is in the mind that you are actually doing something wrong.
Imran,
Here's the thing. The everyone is doing it defense is a dangerous mindset for a guy about to lead a government known for widespread corruption. Sure, that was over 20 years ago, but if anything, Khan has moved away from principled stands and towards whatever benefits his massive ambition. So you have to wonder, is this celebrity so desperate to remain on center stage that he'll take whatever role allows him to stay there, even if that role is military puppet?